Our first look at Volume 6 of RWBY is another character short, and this is the first character short that we've gotten that actually focuses on a villain of the series. Now, this could overall be foreshadowing what we are to expect from Volume 6, but that remains to be seen as to what other character shorts will be released, and if there will be any more character shorts to be released. Hopefully there are, but we'll have to wait and see. This character short actually starts off where we see a group of random faunus attacking what looks like Dust Company, or at least breaking into it. And at first we don't know who they are or who they're associated with, and then we see Adam walk up. And this is actually a pretty significant scene, because this is where he dons the mask for the first time. We've only ever known Adam throughout the series as the one wearing the grim mask, but it looks like he was the first one to originate this. He dons the mask, and the other people who are with him ask him, "What's with the mask?" And he blatantly says exactly what Blake has said before. People see us as monsters, so let's show them what we look like. We want to hide our identities, but let's show them what we look like. So in other words, people see them as monsters, so he's the first to come up with the idea. Let's show them who real monsters are. And that's what he ends up doing by donning the grim mask. They end up breaking into the facility, and that is where Adam starts his descent into what we now know him as at the end of Volume 5. It's important to note that this is all happening while Adam is already a member of the White Fang. On the backs of the shirts of the people that Adam is working with, you can see the symbol of the White Fang. Now, without seeing the symbol, it could be thought that Adam is working with these people, breaking into dust companies, before he even joined the White Fang. But no, this is while the White Fang is under Gira's command. He's doing this, doing raids, but non-violent ones, so it seems, and this could be without Gira's consent. And the next scene, we actually see that Gira, along with the other members of the White Fang, including Sienna Khan, who we barely saw any of back in Volume 5, is now here, and we get to see a little bit more of her, which is really nice because she's a really developed character. They're in what looks like a convoy, and they're pinned down by a bunch of humans who are just not letting them pass. We don't know the reason for this, but they're in a gunfight. Gira is pleading with them non-violently just to let them pass, but they are continuing to fire off their weapons and not giving them any chance, even though they're not being resisted against at all. Sienna ends up giving the go-ahead to Adam to go out and fight them, to essentially take them out, not kill them, but take them out, incapacitate them so that they aren't doing any harm. Because, you know, Gira did take a bullet and got shot, his aura was deactivated, and so Adam had to take control of the situation. And he went out, attacked all of them, and was incapacitating them, knocking them out, knocking them to the ground, but he was taking enjoyment in the fight, which at this point is completely understandable. The faunus had done nothing wrong, and the humans were just oppressing them at this point, violently, trying to hurt them, trying to kill them. So taking a little bit of enjoyment in beating them down is completely understandable. And then one last straggler who's there is afraid at this point of the power that Adam is displaying, being able to take out all of his allies, starts firing at Gira, who, at this point, his aura is deactivated and is completely open. So Adam invokes his aura, does one slash attack, and obliterates the guy. You can see that he left a blood smear on the truck, and the guy's just on the ground in a pool of his own blood. He's dead and gone. And Gira ends up scolding him for it. Just like, that is the exact reason why they hate us. That is the reason why we are being oppressed, because of things like that. And in my opinion, Gira at this point is kind of in the wrong, but also kind of in the right. Like, it's a difficult situation to argue. And Sienna actually praises him for doing that. You know, Gira, he saved your life. He's a hero. And as Gira's initially scolding him, you can see in Adam's face that he's looking at the ground like he's actually disappointed in himself. That at this point, he hasn't gone down the path that led him to become what he is. He is actually disappointed. He's just, you can see it in his face. Granted, half of his face is still covered by the mask, but you can see it. That he is actually feeling ashamed of what he did. But then everyone starts cheering for him. Sienna is praising him. And he's surprised by this. He's getting praised for killing someone. In the next scene, it's Blake arguing with Adam, and she's saying, how many more times is this going to happen? These accidents are always happening where humans are being killed on your missions. How many more times are accidents going to happen? And Adam, of course, replies, I don't know. It is completely understandable that when you're fighting, people are going to get hurt. And that does make sense. There's probably casualties on both sides. That I can understand, but you know, you also have to be there to be able to say definitively one way or another whether one person is in the right, whether one person is in the wrong. Objectively speaking, the humans are in the wrong because they are oppressing the faunus, but Adam's definitely taking it the wrong way, and this is definitely leading down the path where he's going to become what we now know him to be. We then see Adam, Sienna, and Ilya doing a raid at some unknown base, it looks like. It's an enclosed metal container. There's hallways all around that are made of metal, and they're fighting robots. And we don't exactly know where this is or what it's associated with at this point, and it's just going from there. Blake is not present, so presumably this could be after Blake has already left the White Fang, but we're not exactly sure. And we see them fighting robots, and they're winning. And then humans end up appearing, employees of the Schnee Dust Company. We can see on their uniforms that the Schnee logo is right there, so we know that this raid is actually on a Schnee Dust Company facility. And in fact, this could likely be one of the, well, this is likely one of the things that Weiss is referencing back in Volume 1 when she tells Blake, there have been raids on my father's company, employees killed, dust stolen, and no one has had to pay for this. And this is likely one of, if not the raid that she's referring to first and foremost. Because once these people appear, Ilya takes off her mask and is witnessing Adam's brutality. Because at this point, he has become what we knew him at the beginning of the series to be. Someone who enjoyed killing humans, thought that all humans deserve to die. And that's what he was doing. He was killing the humans as he went, not incapacitating them anymore, killing them. And in fact, there's a scene where Sienna actually takes the gun from a human and Adam just gets his sword and is going to execute him. And you can see it in his face. At this point, there's no shame or anything in his face. He's simply looking at it with just the desire to slaughter this guy. And Sienna actually looks up at him and just says, oh, come on, Adam, let's go. She looks directly at him as he's sitting there with the sword, with this grin on his face, standing over this human. She makes nothing of it. So, like, initially, back in Volume 5, I felt bad for Sienna, that she may not have known about Adam's progression down this path. But after seeing this, not really. She completely encouraged this. She saw what he was doing and completely disregarded it. In fact, in the next scene, we see her praising Adam even more. She sends Adam to Vale and puts him in command of the White Fang there. And she also goes so far to tell him, it's just like, you know, I could see you be standing next to me, next to my throne, if you keep up this good work. Essentially, she's saying, you could be my right hand if you keep acting like this, if you keep going like this. She's encouraging him more and more. And then it cuts to Adam sitting on that very same throne. And members of his troop come to him and say, you know, Hazel's told us the attack on Haven's going to be a little bit more complicated than we initially thought. And Adam completely disregards that. He says, nothing's going to stop us now. And fittingly, he says, it's time I get what I deserved. And you know what? That's exactly what he gets. He gets humiliated and defeated. And the last scene we see is after the attack on Haven, after Team RWBY and Ozpin's faction's victory. We see him walking through the forest. We don't see his face, but we see him walking. He's stumbling. And this isn't from exhaustion. This is from him being defeated, both physically and mentally. He didn't really get in too much of a fight, but mentally everything he knew is just shattered, because the troop that he knew abandoned him. They gave up the fight. They didn't have the resolve that he did, and he was a coward. He ran from the fight, and that's got to be weighing heavily on his mind. He's stumbling through the forest, and he drops the grim mask. He has given up the appearance of being a monster. He's given up on his ideals, supposedly. Now, Adam, as I said, is now a broken man. And this could lead to one of two very likely scenarios. One, being this broken, he could eventually reform himself and become someone that could be a good guy. But unfortunately, with him being as unhinged as he was, I see him more going down the path of insanity, blaming everyone for him not getting to where he deserved, and him falling down this path, him ending up where he is. And that is going to make a very dangerous person. He's going to go after everyone and anyone, lash out in any way that he possibly can, if it goes down that path. Now, personally, I would like to see him become someone that sticks around for a while, that, becomes a good guy. He's going to have to go through a mental break either way, but if he comes out of it on the light side and becomes a character that rejoins Blake, that Blake convinces him to come back to the good people's side, and he becomes a character that fights alongside everyone, then that would be great. But I honestly kind of see it going down the path of darkness, as I previously stated. In fact, I wouldn't put it too far past this to making it that Adam is going to have to be the first person that Team Ranger, Team RWBY, that Ozpin's faction is going to have to outright kill in the RWBY series. So far, there hasn't been a major character that Team RWBY has straight up killed. Now, White Fang members have likely been killed by Team RWBY, being thrown off the train into the Grim back in Volume 2, or being thrown off the platforms, being left to being fed on Grim in Volume 3, things like that. And so odds are Team RWBY is probably indirectly responsible for a couple people's deaths, but I think this is where might be the first instance where they're going to outright have to kill someone. And if they're following the trends, if it is a trend in RWBY where, Volumes 1 and 2 were fairly lighthearted, there were some dark themes in there, but it didn't get serious until Volume 3, and then Penny died, Pyrrha died, Ozpin died. Things happened. Torchwick died. Like, a lot of people, a lot of characters that we came to know ended up dying and aren't coming back, at least as far as we know. But in Volume 6, since, Volume 4 and Volume 5, they did have a lot more darker tones than Volume 1 and 2, but no one died. Nothing serious really happened, other than Cinder, who I do believe has passed on, but that still remains to be seen. Volume 6, however, especially with this trailer being out there, Adam's character short, they don't put in the character shorts for nothing. So this is going to play a role in Volume 6. And I think that at the end of Volume 6, they might have to outright kill Adam. That these trailers that they're giving now are of people who are not protagonists, of course, because Adam isn't a protagonist, but that they're foreshadowing some things happening in this volume with Adam. Let me know what you guys think, if you pulled the same things that I did from this trailer. Also, it's very interesting to point out, as I mentioned, I really liked Sienna Khan's character back when I was doing reviews of Volume 5, and we actually get to find out what her weapon is, and it's very good to see that it is actually a chain whip, which traditionally is a Chinese whip that has 9 sections and then a dagger at the end. And hers is obviously modified from that so that she can shoot out the dagger, invoke it with dust, and use freezing techniques as well as others with that. It's a really unique weapon, and I really like that they put that in to give Sienna a little bit more depth. But sadly, with the way that Sienna approached Adam and encouraged him, it just not ruined her character a little bit for me, but made her a little bit more of a disappointing character. But again, let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully there'll be more character shorts, and yeah, take it easy.